Welcome, everyone. I'm going to call us to order. Council is gathered here this evening to receive public input about three matters, two of them planning. So we'll get underway with our land acknowledgement, and I'll call on Councillor Greenfield to read it for us.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, and good evening. We would like to acknowledge with respect that we are meeting on the traditional lands and treaty territory of the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, which includes the Chippewas of Nawash unceded First Nation and the Chippewas of Saugeen First Nation. We also recognize the Métis, whose ancestors shared this land and these waters. We extend our gratitude to all Anishinaabe and Métis peoples and their descendants, past, present, and future, who continue to care for and inhabit these lands and tend to these waters.
Thank you, Councillor. Now I'll invite you to stand as you're able and join us in singing our national anthem. Just note that Councillor Yurig is away today, but we do have quorum. And I'm just going to ask around the horseshoe about any conflict of interest. I'm seeing none. We'll proceed. We begin with a public meeting respecting the consultation about the potential reinstatement of the business improvement area, the BIA. And then we'll turn our attention to two public meetings to receive information respecting land use planning matters. So I'll call the first meeting to order right now. It's to receive public input about the potential reinstatement of the municipality's BIA. Following this meeting, staff will consider all the information and provide a recommendation report to Council at a future meeting. Council will not make any decisions on this matter today. So I'll begin by asking Alison Penner, Deputy Clerk, to give us a brief overview of correspondence received since the publication of this meeting's agenda. Alison?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you. Following publication of the agenda, 7 pieces of correspondence were received in response to the question of reinstating the BIA. Of the 7 items of correspondence, 6 provided comments in opposition to the reinstatement and 1 provided comments in support. These correspondence items were each circulated to Council in advance of the meeting and will be attached to a summary report scheduled to come before Council prior to year end.
And next, I'm going to call on Jessica Kenyon, Small and Medium Business Liaison, to give us a presentation about the consultation. Jessica?
Hi, thank you. And through you, Your Worship. So we're here today to talk about the reinstatement of the business improvement area. And we can go next slide. So on today's agenda, the meeting objective will be part of this presentation, as well as what is the business improvement area, who can benefit from the BIA, how is a BIA managed, what are the financial impacts, potential boundaries, feedback to date, next steps, and then public participation. So the meeting objective is to review and receive comments of the reinstatement of the business improvement area, to listen to the community's questions and gather input for future staff report. So a little bit of background, in December 2022 to November 2024, the business improvement area dissolved. Council adopted Meaford's Main Street, and an organization board was developed in June 2024. It folded November 6th of 2024. May 12th in 2025, Council directed staff to identify levy impacts, stakeholder engagement in the former BIA area and expanding the boundaries. July 21st, 2025, there was a report to Council requesting an information session, and a public meeting to be held on November 10th. August 27th, exploring the reinstatement of the business improvement area in Meaford. September 24th, we held the information session educating stakeholders at Meaford Hall. We had 25 attendees attend that. And then today, our public meeting to collect feedback for Council's consideration. So what is a business improvement area? BIA improvement area is a geographically defined district where local businesses and commercial property owners join to fund and manage improvements and promotions for their area. So who can benefit from the BIA? Business operators, all type of businesses, including retail, dining, entertainment, personal finance, improved atmosphere, attractions, customers and visitors. Shared promotions and capital projects can reduce the cost. Property owners, strong demand for retail and office space, lower vacancy rates, increased property values. Surrounding neighborhoods, so cleaner, safer, and a warm, welcoming downtown, better shopping and service options close to home, community events and job opportunities, and the wider community. So boost tourism investment, expands the tax base to support public services, and builds community pride and engagement. How is the BIA managed? So the Board of Management is responsible for providing strategic direction, financial oversight, effective administration of the BIA's projects and initiatives. The board members, including officers such as the chair, vice chair, treasurer, working collaboratively to plan and budget and deliver programs that support local businesses, enhance the area's vitality. Directors typically serve a term concurrent with council with eligibility of reappointment and are elected by BIA members before being approved by council. What are the financial impacts? So how is the BIA funded? It's funded by a levy collected by the commercial property owners within the BIA boundary. The levy can be based on assessed value of each property size or a flat rate. It's collected by the municipality and transferred to the BIA for approved budget amount, and it's not taxed on the residents or residential properties. Who pays the levy? So it's paid by the commercial property owners through their property tax bill. An annual cost can depend on the BIA's total annual budget, your property's assessed value, the number of properties in the BIA, and the board sets a minimum maximum size of property per square footage. So here we have the previous boundary of the BIA in the first map. And then the second map is from, so it would be on Sykes Street where the Subway Plaza is, all the way to Dairy Queen. And then the last map is from the 7th line to Gray Huron. So the feedback from the survey responses, we had 21% of the survey responses supported the idea of the BIA, and 19% of the survey respondents were residents. So they don't own a business or commercial property. The community information session, we had 25 attendees attend that. 32 were business owners, 16% were property owners, and 52 were residents. Feedback that we'd gathered, priorities for the BIA. The top priorities for the BIA include events, promotion, beautification, marketing, and tourism. Current business challenges include a cohesive feel for downtown, the cost of joining the chamber, and then a mandatory BIA levy, lack of foot traffic, lack of outdoor gathering spaces, seasonal decor, and annual event programming. And that concludes the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, there have been 2 pre-registrations to speak in person at this meeting by members of the public. So when your name is called, please approach the microphone and we'll have someone turn it on for you. And the first speaker is Rachel Gorman. Rachel, just pull that mic down a little closer to you there. That's great.
Thank you, everyone, for being here today. Thank you, Jessica, for your presentation and all your efforts towards this agenda. So my name is Rachel Gorman. I've been a business owner in Meaford's downtown for 6 years and was previously a board member of the now disbanded Meaford Business Improvement Area. As a local business owner, I am writing to express my support for the creation of a business improvement area. As a community-driven organization, a BIA has the opportunity to provide unwavering support towards a healthy and vibrant town filled with shops and services that meet the needs of the community and draw visitors off the trails and water and onto our charming streets. As an organization, a Meaford BIA would have access to a range of funding opportunities that would support their work in championing a vibrant and dynamic commercial area. It could dedicate time and resources towards projects that strengthen local businesses and promote the economic growth and resilience of our community. BIAs can also give directly to business through the creation of supportive grants. The City of Kitchener BIA has a facade grant program where businesses received up to $10,000 for facade improvements. Edmonton's Crescent Heights Village created a matching grant program where projects from local businesses meeting specific criteria would receive 50% of their funding from their BIA. A matching grant like this in Meaford could support the cost of a business hosting an event by helping pay for food and wine or advertisements. There's also an opportunity for a BIA to support our business community through challenging times. Just this year, the Downtown Brampton BIA offered a pilot construction mitigation grant to support businesses affected by significant construction work. Their objective is to help businesses implement innovative and creative solutions to beautify and promote the downtown area while mitigating the impacts of construction on their business. I believe that a board of volunteers, through the establishment of a BIA with a very clear mandate, will positively impact the growth that is already happening here in Meaford. By partnering with community organizations and by leveraging different funding opportunities, a BIA could undertake new initiatives and projects that can contribute to the growth and prosperity of our town and support the businesses that call Meaford home. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you very much. And next we'll call on Judy Prima.
Hello. Dear Council, members, staff, and guests, I am Judy Prima, and I thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak today at your public meeting. My husband and I own 28 6th Street North, As a downtown property owner with a tenant, it is vital that we support and encourage all downtown businesses like Rachel to be successful. Our tenant success is our success. I am in full support of growing and revitalizing downtown Meaford. A prosperous downtown is not only good for local businesses and property owners, but is good in general for the community as a whole. I had learned several years ago in speaking with one of my downtown property owners that a portion of our taxes at the time was going towards the BIA. I didn't know that. However, I also heard complaining that it was ineffective. Volunteers couldn't collaborate in meetings, new programs became impossible, and there was no improvement seen in the foot traffic. And the property owners at the time felt that the money simply was not being spent well. I read a recent article in the Meaford Independent where business owners had to rally together to pull our weeds, clean the winter sand off our sidewalks, and that perhaps with the BIA, we may not have been left to our Christmas decorations staying up until May. So I asked myself, I said, is this what people think a BIA is for? Isn't this what we already pay our property taxes for? And considering the majority of the municipality-owned properties are in downtown, isn't it the municipality's responsibility to keep our community safe and clean downtown? I actually participated in your recent BIA survey. I was up there. And I've spoken with Jessica, which I really appreciate your time, Jessica, for listening to me. And I became a little concerned when I attended the open public house. The survey at the open house appeared to be serving our community in general. And I talked to Jessica, we were placing red apple stickers on a whiteboard and there wasn't anywhere for us to leave our comments. And Jessica did explain that was to bring attention, which I think it worked for her objective there. So not satisfied that the municipal survey accurately captured the results from the key people, being the ones that would actually be paying the bills, like myself, I went on a mission with an open mind to do my own survey. I personally reached out to 25 property owners, not knowing if reinstating the BIA was going to be a good or bad thing. I really had no preconception there. I discovered that several of our downtown property owners were also business owners, operating their own business from their own properties. So we were quite a diversified group of property owners. I was actually pleased to hear back from 20 of the 25 owners, some of which are with me today and some that wrote in. I spoke to them as to their position on the restatement of the BIA. 20 downtown property owners, knowing some own several buildings, probably representing, I'm thinking of the core downtown area being 80 to 90%. We all shared the same beliefs that a vibrant downtown is not only good for business, property values, and the municipality, but is good for our community as a whole, and everyone benefits. I arranged a meeting with our 20 Meaford downtown property owners to discuss their position on the BIA. And those that were not able to attend either told me their position or emailed me and to share with the group at our meeting. The outcome of the meeting was that we are all in support of having a structured organization with a clear objective to ensure we get the program in place that will support the growth of our downtown business. However, we were unanimously opposed to bringing back the BIA for the following reasons. The entire community already contributes through the general tax base, and adding an extra layer of taxes that would fall solely on downtown property owners such as myself is unfair in that the full community benefits. Adding taxes on a small group of our downtown property owners will get passed on to the tenants, resulting in rent increases and increases to the owners who are also operating their own business, already having to deal with excessive costs. The BIA was heavily managed by the town. This is what I'm being told, and was costly and requiring 10 meetings per year with 2 to 3 staff members. Contact between staff and volunteer members of the BIA was limited, and it made the BIA unproductive. The old BIA paid for flowers and park benches and not necessarily for programming. To be truly effective in growing our downtown, we require investments into programs and events to attract and increase the foot traffic. We currently have seen recent organizational breakdowns, the past BIA, Main Street Meaford, and at the same time, we operate several other committees and associations, the Chamber of Commerce, Downtown Meaford, Growing Our Economy Committee, Strengthening Our Community, trying to compete with one another's resources in finding good people to sit at the table and actively volunteering their time. This actually creates overlap and duplication and can actually confuse or further dilute our downtown messaging. The consensus from the 20 owners was that the Chamber of Commerce, who has a successful existing structure already in place, is the best organization to truly expand on. The Chamber of Commerce, with their new leadership, is excelling and increasing their membership. I heard at the meeting that they had like over 60 people turn out for their last meeting. It's created a strong internal organization that has participated in growing and supporting events and activities in the downtown area. They have existing connections in place with our community members and a growing membership rate with active volunteers. The Chamber of Commerce has the vehicle and experience in place to go to our municipality for funding, to bring forward clear objectives and requirements and program funding that provides positive outcomes. To the business owners that may have expressed an interest in bringing back the BIA, and I understand that. It may be without understanding it would result in an increase in rent with the BIA tax levy imposed on property owners. We strongly encourage you to join the Chamber of Commerce. You will not only be exposed to excellent networking opportunities to help you grow your business, but the Chamber of Commerce provides you with the opportunity in getting directly involved with the promotions and the community events. We understand why the municipality is doing their due diligence in revisiting the BIA, and we thank you for your ongoing acknowledgement of how important the core of downtown Meaford is to our community. Through this public forum tonight, and as part of your community engagement, we ask that you come to a conclusion that no further analysis required and that you've performed your role in doing your due diligence in reviewing the reinstatement of the BIA. And based on the majority of the downtown property owners that I spoke with are opposed to the BIA, remember they are in support of growing the downtown Meaford, and we feel that the vehicle is the Chamber of Commerce. And that was speaking on behalf of the people that I met with. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Judy. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak who didn't pre-register? Anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to this? You're welcome to take the microphone. I see some debate. Go ahead then, sure, by all means.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor. For those who don't know me, I'm JD Meaford, the president of the Chamber of Commerce. I made a recent deputation supporting whatever direction that the council and or the municipality would go in reinstating a BIA. I stand behind that. If that's voted on and supported, then the chamber would support whatever initiatives were needed from the BIA. And if it is not reinstated, the initiatives that or the subject matters that are brought up as definite needs of the business community, we would take on through the chamber with your support.
Okay, thank you very much for clarifying. That's good. And one last call, anyone else wish to be heard on this subject? Okay, we'll move on. Oh, yeah, well, we're coming back to council right now. So anyone on council have any comments to make? And I'll go right to Deputy Mayor Keaveney.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and I just want everyone to know how very much I appreciate the comments that have been made here today. And I understand how you feel about BIA. I was a business owner for many years, and I'm a past president of the Chamber of Commerce, so I think I have a pretty good understanding of why the comments are what they are that we're hearing tonight. I just wanted to clarify a couple of things, though. I understand the impact of a levy if we were to go forward on the BIA, and we're in a difficult economic environment right now for businesses anyway, and the addition of that levy could be difficult for a lot of the businesses. I understand that. But I just want us to also understand that without that, the cost for the flowers, the benches, the banners, the events, whatever is decided upon to support our downtown will fall on the backs of our taxpayers. So we just have to recognize that those things will have to be paid for. The chamber doesn't have budget for those things. So those things will be a budget line in our budget when we see that for 2026. And I also just wanted us to think about the chamber's role. And, you know, in my mind, one of the most important things that a chamber does is advocate for businesses. And sometimes that means they're coming to council and they're saying that, you know, we don't like your decision, that that's not the right thing for businesses. And I think we also have to recognize that, you know, I want to see the chamber have more responsibility if that's the path we're going to go down, but we also have to recognize that the chamber has to do their role in representing business. And if that means, again, that they have to come to us and talk negatively about one of our decisions, we just have to be aware that, you know, that they have those roles to play. But I just want the businesses to know that this is your decision. You are the ones. If we had a BIA, you were the ones who would be on that board and who would be making the decisions about how your funds would be spent and about what events you would support and so on. So I think when it comes to our time to make a decision, I will very much take to heart what we have heard from the business community, which predominantly is that you wish to go forward with putting your support behind the Chamber of Commerce for your events and for you know, things that will happen in the downtown in relation to beautification and so on. So just want you to know that I hear you and I support you. Thank you.
Councillor Bell.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. So some people know that the former BIA, I was the council representative on that. And one of the things that did transpire was that there became a very lack of enthusiasm from the business owners downtown. When I first was on it, there were a number of, I'll call them key business owners. They always showed up at every meeting. We had a great many ideas. We had ideas like installing park benches, not park benches that were chintzy either. I think the number I recall was well over $3,000 for a park bench. And the idea was to get people downtown and to stop and to rest and to take a moment and just park benches. There was also talk about raising money at the time for a downtown clock. The clock at the Bank of Montreal was out of commission at the time, and they talked about what can we do with the clock. So there was a lot of conversation about what can be done downtown. And I think what's been transpiring is that one of the key elements of the BIA and downtown, it is very much a downtown, it's a downtown thing in my mind, because you're looking for foot traffic. You are looking to attract those that come through the main core of the town of Meaford. And you want to have your business, like what was mentioned at the beginning, you know, restaurants or those service industries that people might wish to take in, you know, some time with family and friends, take in the ambiance of some of those new areas, and it becomes an attractant thing for that. So as far as the levy is concerned, it was one of the things that did come up in a very negative manner near the end of my time on the BIA. They simply saw it as another form of taxation of doing business. Now, we would have to really have a good engagement with those that would like to participate in it. But what I see is when you're looking at getting foot traffic and you're looking for exposure and you're looking for tourism, and I see the expansion of where the proposal is to go, I think it should be that the Chamber of Commerce is one that, and the Chamber presidents here, A business may or may not choose to join the chamber. It's a business decision. It's what you wish to be engaged with. But if you have a mapping of an area, I think what you would find from feedback would be folks would say, well, I will not be getting a park bench out front. I won't be getting, the events and festivals things handed out in front. It becomes different. Now, I am thinking, and I won't name the business individually, but I think that there is a business on one end of the proposed expansion that probably would like to do something like this. I think we in the room probably know who I'm thinking of, because they are very much about, please stop in, please visit us. This is who we are and what we do. It matches very much with the business that might be located downtown. So I think for council's consideration in the future, I think we need to take a look at the core of what it's doing and who it's serving and who is truly going to benefit from this. And I would like to see it open if a business would like to join it, should the BAA come into being, that they have that choice to join and not just be seen as another tax on being in business. But I think when we get to making the decision on it, I don't want to preempt or hurt folks thinking on this. But anyway, there was a good group of people and it did function very well. And there was some hard work and there was a lot of good decisions. The timing of it, business people being in business. There was one past chairman who ran it like a train station. Started at 8, it was done at 9. If it was 9:01, next time we meet, we'll carry on with whole business. And the business people like that. They needed to get to their place of business, open the door. And so that was a key element. If it started drifting past that, and they were drifting half an hour and 45 minutes past, it was not well received. It was also another element that transpired. So anyway, thanks for the opportunity. And I would like to see it, but downtown. Thanks.
Thanks for your comments, Councillor Bell. Did I see your hand up, Councillor Ennis? No? Okay. Anyone else? Councillor Greenfield.
Thanks, Your Worship. And first of all, thanks to everyone who has submitted their comments and questions and everyone who showed up this evening. I'd like to get a few more opinions from you folks concerning some activities that are maybe more council related, but they certainly do play a role in our downtown area. They play a role in our entire municipality, but I think in especially downtown, council is in the process of revisiting our community improvement plan, which has been beneficial to many businesses in the downtown area, and we are of the opinion that it needs a bit of rejigging to get the ground rules kind of back to maybe where they were a few years ago when we first introduced the community improvement plan. But that's something that certainly could be beneficial to the folks in the downtown area and throughout the municipality, for that matter. I'm really glad that we are at least revisiting the idea of bringing the BIA back. Another downtown situation that council is going to be debating in our budget talks that are coming up pretty soon is the Nelson Street parking lot. I'm sure you're all aware of it. It's in a rather unfinished state of repair, but we have a plan established that would pave and mark the Nelson Street parking lot. It's about $1 million price tag on it. I'd like your opinion. Originally, we wanted to put I think, 2 EV chargers in that lot. These are the kind of things. Do you folks from the downtown area, are these important to you? Because I think if they're important to you, you need to tell us, and we can, do our best in deciding what to go ahead with. I have in the past, from an outsider, living way out on the 7th line, thought that the BIA area could be expanded. I do think that businesses up in the what is the St. Vincent Plaza, and it's basically where the independent grocery store is. Oh, there's a radio station there too, by the way. I really think perhaps that area and the downtown, there could be integration there. What could be good for one could be good for the other. So I need more, I need more comments. I wondered about, on the scale of, what people thought were most important. Beautification was first. Okay, that's important. More events, more marketing and tourism, definitely. But I was kind of surprised that the parking and accessibility, that was the lowest on the graph. And I was a little surprised about that. But anyway, okay, I've said enough, Your Worship. Thank you for
Anyone else? I'm just going to add in here that we've had some preliminary, just informal chats about the budget, and I know for a fact that a lot of the costs that we have as a municipality are out of our control. Like, for example, the OPP budget. I mean, we got a heart attack from them last year. I don't know what's coming this year, but what I will tell you is that there are a lot of those things. So last year, because it was our sesquicentennial, we spent $30,000 on flowers downtown, and people thought it was wonderful, and it was certainly attractive. We know that we won't have that money to spend, and there will be pressure. That will be the first thing that will come under pressure in our budget discussions, because it's just the way it is. So I just want you to be aware of that, and I think that I really appreciate the fact that staff was willing to do all the legwork of giving this one more look. And I have to say, I'm very excited by the progress that the Chamber of Commerce is experiencing. So I think that we'll just have to see how this all plays out. But there's many pros and cons on both sides of the discussion. So find my script here again. Thank you, everyone, for your input tonight. Staff is going to take all the feedback provided throughout the entire consultation process and then report back to council with a recommendation for next steps. If you would like to receive notice of any future decision on this matter, please provide your contact information to the Deputy Clerk Penner there by email. You can do it by addressing deputyclerk@meaford.ca. So I'm going to move on to our next portion of the meeting. And we're holding this meeting to learn about 2 separate proposals to amend the land use planning permissions applying to certain lands within the municipality of Meaford. Council is legally required to make decisions that conform to the county and Meaford official plans. Our policies encourage us to reach out to community stakeholders to gather information. We have a variety of legal tools available to us that we can apply to developments to help us manage change in a positive manner with as minimal an impact as possible, and your insights can be part of what informs our direction. Those in attendance for today's meetings will have an opportunity to speak in person or remotely if pre-registered through Zoom. This meeting, I should say, is not structured as a dialogue between speakers and the applicant. However, the applicant may take the opportunity to respond to any comments toward the end of the meeting if they wish to. And note that in many cases, formulating responses may require that staff carry out research after our meeting on the matters raised and provide answers following the meeting or through their report to council. So next is a public meeting to consider a zoning bylaw amendment for lands as at Part Lot 12, Concession 2 East in the former Sydenham Township in Meaford. This meeting is a mandatory part of the planning process, which has been set out by the Planning Act. Based on the rules in the Act, there must be at least 20 days' notice given to residents within 120 meters of the property. Notice of the zoning bylaw amendment was issued on October 20th, 2025, giving the required 20 days' notice. First, I'm going to ask Michael Kelly, planner for the municipality of Meaford, to give us a brief presentation about this application and to provide us with any public or agency comments that have been received so far. Michael?
Thank you. So through you, Mr. Mayor. As stated, this presentation is related to a proposed zoning bylaw amendment for the lands at Part Lot 12, Concession 2 East in the former township of Sydenham. So the purpose of this public meeting is to hear a presentation from planning staff with some of the details about the subject lands and the planning application, and to provide a public forum for members of the public to provide comments on the proposal. So here we can see the location of the subject lands. It sits fairly centrally within the municipality and fronts on Gray Road 18. The subject property is currently vacant and is largely covered by forest. There is a water course that flows from the north and southeast corner, meeting roughly here, southwest corner, meet roughly centrally, and exit on the southeast of the property. The surrounding lands are comprised of residential lands, vacant lands, some agricultural uses, and a religious retreat / religious private school. So this amendment has been applied for to fulfill a condition of a provisionally approved consent application, specifically a severance. This condition requires the property owner rezone portions of their property to reflect the findings of a floodplain analysis study, a scoped environmental impact study, and minimum distance separation calculations submitted alongside that original severance application. As part of these requirements, 2 holding provisions are proposed. One to ensure a maximum building envelope of 0.4 hectares or 1 acre, and to ensure the lots can be properly serviced by appropriate well and septic systems. And a second holding symbol is required on the southern parcel to ensure a slope stability assessment is conducted as deemed necessary at the time of any future construction. So for some context, this is the existing zoning of the property. The majority of the parcel is zoned rural. That's this yellowish, whitish, beige portion. And the green portion is environmental protection lands and largely follows the water course and associated floodplain. This is their proposal. It's a little hard to see, I recognize. Hopefully that helps a little bit. This area with what I think is supposed to be reeds is the proposed new environmental protection area. You can see it's been greatly expanded as required by the floodplain analysis study. Here in the single diagonal lines is holding zone number 1. It will implement the max building envelope requirements of 1 acre of disturbed area, as well as the servicing requirements I mentioned previously. This crossed area at the bottom would be the second holding zone, which will implement everything included under the first one, as well as an additional requirement of the slope stability assessment being conducted prior to any construction. Okay. So the county official plan designation for these lands is rural and hazard lands. Permitted uses in the rural designation include agricultural, residential, and accessory residential uses. Building and structures are not permitted in the hazard lands, and no uses are permitted or proposed within that area as part of this application. So the Meaford official plan designation is rural environmental protection, and the policies largely mirror that of great counties. We've already covered this But briefly, I'll say this is the existing zoning of the parcel. The rural zone permits a range of agriculture and residential uses, including single detached homes, which is the intended future use of the parcel, though no development is proposed as of now. The EP zone generally does not allow any development, and no development would be proposed within the EP zone by this proposal. And like I said, it will be extended quite substantially to cover the entire floodplain. So this slide just shows where we are in the planning process. After this meeting, staff will take all comments received and complete a review of the application before bringing a report back to council at a future meeting with answers to any outstanding comments, as well as a recommendation. At that meeting, council will make a final decision on the application, and it will enter its statutory appeal period. So this slide just shows how you can get a hold of planning staff if any of the members of the public have any comments on what they see today. And I will briefly go through the comments we have received as of today. So comments were received from Grey County Ecology staff stating they had no concerns with the proposed zoning, as the proposal aligns with the recommendations within that original environmental impact statement supported by County Ecology staff. County Transportation and Planning staff also commented that they had no concerns. The Historic Saugeen Métis Lands, Waters, and Consultation Department submitted comments stating no objection to the proposed zoning bylaw amendment, and Enbridge Gas submitted comments stating no concerns. Comments were received from an adjacent property owner who stated that they had concerns that their maple trees are very close to the proposed entryway for parcel B, and they would hope that there is some protection for their trees in the future. No other comments have been received as of this time.
Okay. Thank you very much. Is the applicant or their agent present? I believe Genevieve Scott is online to speak to us via Zoom. Are you there, Genevieve?
I am. Thank you very much, Mayor.
Great. Go right ahead then.
Thanks very much. Good evening, everyone, members of council, staff, and members of the public. My name is Genevieve Scott with Questa Planning Consultants. I'm not going to repeat too much. Michael did a great presentation. Thank you very much for your overview. I just wanted to quickly go through a bit of the background to the application. So we were retained by Mr. and Mrs. Bechtel to assist in processing the subject zoning application, which will implement two conditionally approved consent to sever applications. The lot areas are approximately 4.8 hectares and 5.7 hectares, and the retained parcel is just under 37 hectares. Each of the lots, actually, including the retained, does have an existing entrance already onto Gray Road 18. And so at the beginning of the application, actually, right at the beginning of getting the background reports completed, Mr. Bechtel did have County of Gray transportation staff attend on site just to take a look at the entrances. And so they've been approved in principle since sort of the outset of looking at severing this land. They will need some upgrades, and just with respect to the comment from the neighbor to the south with respect to being concerned about their maple trees, that entrance actually is the one entrance that will need a slight adjustment, actually further north than it is existing, about 10 meters to the north, as per the original comments from County of Gray transportation staff. So that should assist in that concern. As Michael had mentioned in his presentation, the building envelopes that have been established for each lot implement the findings of both the environmental impact study as well as the floodplain analysis. And there's two requirements that are stemming from those reports. So the first one is related to the environmental impact assessment. And so what the project biologist did was confirm a larger building envelope on the lands that could be used for development. And so one of the things that has been set out in the holding provision is to provide for a maximum building envelope of about an acre, 0.4 hectares, once the land is going to be built out. So that allows for some future flexibility for a landowner to come in and have some options as to where they can build, but also have a maximum area that can be cleared. The other main requirement related to implementing the findings of the floodplain analysis, and it relates specifically to the west side of parcel B. There's been a large, there's an envelope that can be used for development for residential purposes, but there is a slope in between the two building envelopes. So the one to the west, we will require a slope assessment to be completed in order to put a laneway to that western parcel if someone opted to build at that location. I would note that there, to the east, there is a building envelope on the proposed lot that is over an acre. So there's an opportunity to build either way, but it does allow for a bit more flexibility for a future landowner. As Michael also mentioned, there's the zoning schedule will implement a small MDS setback on the south lot, and also refines the EP, actually expands the EP zoning on the parcel based on those floodplain analysis findings. So those are the main points that I just wanted to touch on. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Genevieve. There have been no pre-registrations to speak in person at the meeting from members of the public. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak to this proposal who didn't pre-register? I don't see that there is. So next I'll turn it over to council for any questions you have. And it looks as if there are none at all. So thank you for your help on this, Genevieve.
Thank you.
Would you like to make any further comment?
No, thank you. Thank you very much, everyone.
Okay. Well, thank you for attending this meeting and sharing your thoughts on this application. This matter will now be referred back to Planning Services to follow up on any additional information required from the applicant based on the matters raised today. Once staff are satisfied they have all necessary information needed to provide a recommendation on the applications, a detailed planning report will be brought back to Council to assist us in our decision-making. This report will evaluate how the proposal does or does not satisfy the provincial, county, and Meaford policies that must be considered as part of Council's decision. It will also explore the various public and agency comments received regarding the application, noting those tools which may be applied in order to address concerns raised and to mitigate potential impacts on nearby properties. If you would like to receive notice of a future decision on this file, please provide your contact information to the Planning Services Division by email at planning@meaford.ca. And next is a public meeting to consider a zoning bylaw amendment for lands at 290 Thompson Street in Meaford. This meeting is a mandatory part of the planning process which has been set out by the Planning Act. Based on the rules of the Act, there must be at least 20 days' notice given to residents within 120 meters of the property. Notice of the zoning bylaw amendment was issued prior to October 20th, 2025, giving the required 20 days' notice. So again, I'm going to call on Michael Kelly, planner for the municipality of Meaford, to give us a brief presentation about this application and to provide us with any public and agency comments that have been received so far. Michael?
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. So as stated, this presentation is related to a proposed zoning bylaw amendment for the lands at 290 Thompson Street in the urban area of Meaford. So the purpose of this public meeting is to hear a presentation from planning staff with some of the details about the subject lands and the planning application, and to provide a public forum for members of the public to provide comments on the proposal. So the lands at 290 Thompson Street are currently developed with an existing building, which has historically been used for cold fruit storage. In addition, the property features a small parking area on the west side of the parcel, which has historically been leased to the neighboring property. Surrounding uses include primarily residential, institutional, and industrial uses. The current zoning of the property restricts the permitted uses to those which were existing on December 12th, 2011. More information on that to come. The property owners would like to modify the zoning to allow more flexibility for uses on the property. The proposed zoning would permit a mix of uses on the property, which would all be constrained to be located inside of the existing building. So the county official plan designates the property as primary settlement area. This designation is intended to serve as the focus for growth within the county. It promotes a wide range of residential, commercial, and industrial uses. The Meaford official plan designation for this area is urban employment area. The intent of this designation is to provide for the creation of diverse employment opportunities and to ensure that this development is conducted in a responsible manner to minimize negative impacts on surrounding land uses. So the current zoning on the property is restricted industrial zone with exception 243 or M1 243. This exemption limits the uses to those which were existing on December 12, 2011. In this case, this refers to cold fruit storage. In addition, the property owner applied for and received a minor variance in June of 2022 to allow for the use of commercial self-storage on the lands. As part of this application, the applicant is requesting to add the following uses to be permitted on the lot: commercial self-storage, warehousing, contractor's yard, workshop, and an accessory office space. The application proposes that any and all of these uses will be contained within the existing structure. In addition, the applicant is requesting a reduction in the minimum parking requirements from a total of 22 required spaces to a maximum of 16 spaces, as well from the requirement of having 1 loading space to 0 loading spaces. So this slide shows the proposed extension of the parking lot of the site. I will note that the applicant has a slightly updated version of the site plan, which was provided after the meeting agenda was posted. So I will let them speak to this more in their presentation following mine. I understand this is difficult to see, the limitations of using PowerPoint, but I'll try to do my best to explain. So do a walkthrough. So here we have the existing front entrance of the building. It leads to this large central open hallway. And this is their proposal, I should say, not what's currently there, but their proposal. So the existing central open from the existing opening. To the left, up the side here, and around to the right is all designated to be warehouse space. To the right at the bottom is commercial self-storage. And at the very front here is intended to be the workshop use. A new entryway will be on the side, which will lead to a staircase. You'll go up the staircase to the proposed office space here on the second floor. The balance of the second floor will be commercial self-storage units, accessed by a stairway and elevator. So this slide represents where we are in the process. After this meeting, staff will take all comments received and complete our review of the application, then bring a report back to council at a future meeting which addresses any outstanding comments as well as provides a recommendation. At that meeting, council will make a final decision on the application and it will enter the statutory appeal period. As previously mentioned, this slide shows how any members of the public can get a hold of us if they want to provide comments on this application. Now I'll briefly go through comments we've received as of today. Grey County Ecology staff submitted comments stating they had no concerns. Grey County Housing staff also submitted comments stating no concerns. Grey County Planning staff requested that measures to screen the proposed uses on site be incorporated into the site plan design along the northern and western property boundaries. The Historic Saugeen Métis Lands, Waters, and Consultation Department submitted comments stating no objection to the proposed zoning bylaw amendment. Enbridge Gas submitted comments stating no concerns, and no other comments have been received from the public or agencies as of this time.
Thank you, Michael. And I believe the applicant's representative, Christine Loft, is on Zoom now. Would you like to speak on your application?
Yes, thank you. Good evening. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everyone, council and staff. My name is Christine Loft of Loft Planning Inc., and I am here working on behalf of both the landowner Sugar Megs Ltd, as well as Gord and Melissa Jakubowicz, who are the potential purchasers of the property and also owners of GJ Custom Contracting, who are looking to locate their business in Meaford at 290 Thompson Street. Next slide, if you could, is my PowerPoint up?
Yeah, Chris. Jeez, sorry,
Thank you.
everybody. Yeah, it's up there.
Thank
Let me
you.
know when you want me to change
Yes,
slides.
sorry. Next slide, if you can go to the next slide to the site location. So the subject property is located at 290 Thompson Street, municipality of Meaford. The subject lands have a total lot area of 0.36 hectares and a lot frontage of 51 meters onto Thompson Street. The lands are located at the southwest corner of Thompson Street and Albert Street, and the site consists of an existing industrial building that has historically been used for fruit storage, although not for many years. And as Michael noted, a recent variance does now allow for commercial self-storage uses. There are not significant proposed changes to the site, as the site will continue to generally function the same as it exists today. The site is well manicured around the existing building with access and a paved parking at the front of the site, accessing onto Thompson Street. The subject lands are located within a mixed use area, and surrounding lands include residential uses as well as an industrial use opposite Thompson Street. Next slide, please. So the lands, the application proposes the renovation of the existing building and to construct a partial second floor within the existing building to support a mix of employment and industrial uses. And these include a contractor's yard, a warehouse, a workshop, and an accessory structure. The exception, as Michael noted, will permit for the additional permitted uses, as well as a reduction in parking from a required 22 parking spaces to 16 parking spaces, and a loading space of 0 where 1 would be required. The proposal is that all of the uses will be contained within the existing building. And as Michael noted, there is a current exception on the property 243, which permits uses legally existing as of December 12th, 2011. And a minor variance was applied for A10-2022, which was approved by the Committee of Adjustment and permits commercial self-storage. Next slide, please, which is the site plan. So a site plan has been prepared by Capes Engineering, and as noted, the building and the existing footprint will remain the same, and the existing entrance off of Thompson Street will be utilized. The existing asphalt parking will be expanded to maximize parking and does take into consideration the adjacent residential uses. The site is not regulated by the Grey Sauble Conservation Authority. There is an existing fire hydrant on the east side of Thompson Street, which is expected to meet the OBC requirements with regard to emergency services. The site is serviced by both sanitary sewer as well as a water connection, and Capes Engineering will confirm as part of detailed design and site plan approval if any servicing upgrades are required. There are no formal stormwater management controls on site. There are open ditches on both Thompson Street as well as Albert Street. And while additional stormwater measures are not expected, this again will be dealt with through detailed design at the site plan approval stage, and Capes Engineering has been retained to complete that work. Next slide, please, which is just, I have a few photo slides. So the first slide 5, which is the Thompson Street frontage looking into the existing building. And on the right-hand side, a photo taken from the corner of Albert and Thompson looking into the site. Slide 6 is a photo of the residential apartment building located directly to the north. And on the right-hand side of the screen is the institutional use to the northwest of the property. And slide 7 is residential to the west, Albert Place, and on the right-hand side of the screen, the existing industrial use opposite Thompson Street and east of the site. Slide 8, please. So the lands are designated urban employment within the municipality of Meaford official plan. And the lands are zoned industrial M1-243 within the zoning bylaw. And exception 243 provides that notwithstanding any other provision of the bylaw, the provisions of section 243 are permitted. And those include uses that existed as of December 12th, 2011. And following that, there was the minor variance applied for the additional commercial self-storage use. Next slide, please. So this is slide 9, showing the proposed uses and parking requirements. So the proposed uses are warehouse and storage, as well as contractor workshop and accessory offices. As Michael has noted, we have provided the interior architecturals which were required in order to provide the relevant parking calculations. And so Michael did go through the interior of the building. The parking calculations for those architecturals would be a requirement of 22 spaces. And you can see that the majority of those spaces are for the warehouse and storage area within the building. The business that is to be located within the building, GJ Custom Contracting and Paul Davis Restoration, they do have 8 employees. And so it is expected and the purchaser's opinion that the parking provided at 16 spaces is more than sufficient for their requirements, and of course still provides additional space for those additional uses within the building, primarily the self-storage. And I'll just note on the loading space. So we have requested the reduction in the loading space from 1 to 0 spaces, but of course there is loading available that exists today into the building. It just, however, does not specifically meet the requirements by definition in the zoning bylaw. So there certainly is loading access available to the site and to within the building. And the reduction is only because the specific provisions within the bylaw with regard to loading space sizes and dimensions is not met. Next slide, please, which is slide 10. And so just a quick overview on the urban employment area. The uses that are proposed are permitted uses within the urban employment area. And I'm just going to provide a bit of an overview on section B 1.2.5, which is the development criteria. And I'll just note that the site is an existing industrial site. The proposed amendment would allow additional permitted uses with no change to the building footprint. The site is constrained by the existing entrance, setbacks, and the grassed areas. The application requests a reduction in parking and of the loading space, and it is not anticipated that there will be a parking issue or a loading issue on site. The applicants will utilize the building for their business and therefore have an understanding of the employees and the number of spaces that business requires. And there will be a loading facility. However, as I've noted, just not meeting the definition provision within the bylaw. And as such, an exception has been requested for the loading provision. There are limited proposed changes to the site or to the exterior of the building. The building entrance and the parking is existing today. And the only real significant site plan change is the expansion to the parking lot. The site is well grassed, and this is proposed to generally remain intact. Outdoor storage is not proposed. And we have reviewed section D1, which is the servicing policies. And in our opinion, the proposal would conform to section D1 with regard to water and sewer servicing. And as I noted, Capes Engineering has been retained to provide final design and ensure that no servicing expansions are required. And lastly, the site is adjacent to residential uses, and there are no site work change proposed on these north and west sides of the building that are directly adjacent to the residential uses. And these generally will remain in the manicured grass areas that they are today. And the last slide, please. So in my opinion, the application is in keeping with the Planning Act and is consistent with 2024 PPS. The application conforms to the county and the local official plan, and the application as amended complies with the municipality of Meaford zoning bylaw. And those are my comments. I'm happy to respond to any questions, and I've certainly follow up with staff with any responses to comments received. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. And if you do want to hang on, we'll see if there are any questions for you to answer.
Thank you.
There have been no pre-registrations to speak in person at the meeting by members of the public. So I'll just ask if anyone in the audience, which has thinned a fair bit since the BIA discussion, if anyone would like to speak to this matter, you're welcome to take the microphone. And I see none, so I'll turn it over to council for your questions or comments. Deputy Mayor Keaveney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I did have a question in relation to parking. We heard from Ms. Loft the proposed uses of this facility and the parking that would be required by each of those. But I'm just curious to know about our municipal process in terms of requirements for parking in a situation like this where there are, where there is a reduction of parking in front of us from 22 to 16, because I'm just thinking if there are any changes at a future date in the uses that have been shared with us today, might that change the parking requirements, and how would we go about, making that adjustment? So I'm just curious to know kind of what our requirements are here municipally in the municipality of Meaford in relation to a use like this and parking.
Thank you for that question, Deputy Mayor, and through you, Your Worship. That is a great planning question, and I really appreciate it. So generally with a site like this that is capable of hosting a number of uses, a mix of uses, the best practice is to really assess sort of the worst case scenario as far as the mix of uses that might be in that building, and to do your analysis, assuming that all of that mix is there, and to sort of conclude on the basis that the number of parking stalls that you're proposing at the end of the day will be able to accommodate, quote, that worst case scenario. So the same type of logic applies for a shopping plaza, for example, making sure that all those permitted uses are accounted for when you're thinking about the parking calculation. So I hope that helps.
Councillor Ennis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, I'm just wondering how many spots are there now on the site?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, if I may. So currently on the site, there are no formal parking spots. There is simply a large gravel area, which was used pretty much just by the looks of it to bring the trucks in and unload it. I would defer to the applicant if she has any more information on that.
Can we call on you, Christine?
Yes, thank you. I would agree with staff's opinion on that. It is a gravel area and not currently defined. So it's difficult to say the specific number just because it's not defined.
If I may, so would you then be expecting, if you're to proceed, that you would need to would you need to expand kind of the space that's there now, or do you think you would be able to fit all of those spaces in what is currently just gravel?
Thank you. Through the chair, if I may. On this site plan, the darker gray color is the existing gravel. So certainly the parking area will absolutely be expanded. You can see from the site plan, and I don't know if staff can put the site plan up, but the darker gray area is the existing gravel. And then the parking area is laid on top of that, so you can see the expansion area and squared off in a rectangular shape that would basically be the entire frontage onto Thompson Street. So definitely expansion to answer your question.
Thank you.
Other questions? I see none. So thank you, Christine, very much.
Thank you.
And do you wish any final comment? I think she's gone. That's okay. So thank you, everyone, for attending this meeting and sharing your thoughts on this application. This matter will now be referred back to Planning Services to follow up on any additional information required from the applicant based on the matters raised today. Once staff are satisfied that they have all necessary information needed to provide a recommendation on the applications, a detailed planning report will be brought back to council to assist us in our decision-making. This report will evaluate how the proposal does or does not satisfy the provincial, county, and Meaford policies that must be considered as part of council's decision. It will also explore the various public and agency comments received regarding the application, noting those tools which may be applied in order to address concerns raised and to mitigate potential impacts on nearby properties. If you would like to receive notice of a future decision on this file, please provide your contact information to the Planning Services Division by email at planning@meaford.ca, all lowercase. And that concludes that portion of our agenda. We have a confirming bylaw. The recommendation is, be it resolved that bylaw 2025-68, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the meeting of Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Meaford, be taken as read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Forder, seconded by Councillor Ennis. Any discussion? All in favor? And that is carried unanimously. And with that, I'll adjourn today's meeting. Thank you.